Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to break down Wick And Mortar's annual anniversary party. On the line with us is Dan Chemist, our CBD correspondent with Good CBD Products. You were there last night. You saw it. I didn't make it, but tell us all about it. How'd it go?
First, good morning. I'm here, and is it Friday?
It is already.
I mean, whatever day you listen to the podcast, it's that day. Okay, don't let us tell you it's Friday if it's not.
Right.
But yeah, it's Friday, and I'm feeling it this morning, Chronic. Full disclosure, I'm old, and yes, I went last night representing the Talking Hedge to the Wick And Mortar 10-year anniversary party. It's really kind of a VIP thing, and I felt really blessed to go. But yeah, first,
Wait, time out. Just to clarify, that's the 10-year. Because last year I thought it was their 5th anniversary.
No, so he's been in design in the cannabis space for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then they've been doing this party, and then last night was basically celebrating the plateau of 10 years in the design space. They've been Wick And Mortar, I think, for 2.5 years now, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
He's only been hosting these parties now. That's his 6th time he's hosted an annual party.
Yep. Yeah. And then, so, I mean, you're getting hung up in the weeds. Suffice it to say, it was a stunning event.
Maybe we should have started off with what online marijuana design was and what Wick And Mortar is. Jared Mirsky, the founder, had started a graphic design company a decade ago, and it's morphed and changed as the industry has moved on into marketing, design, packaging, branding, distribution, from t-shirt companies to flower. And he wanted to get rid of the flower and get rid of the marijuana name. So we went with Wick And Mortar and rebranded as a branding agency. That was kind of a big deal. We covered that on the Talking Hedge, and has done a phenomenal job. He doesn't even go to trade shows anymore. He's too busy.
So one of the things that they do, that they being Wick And Mortar, that's interesting, is they're all about look and feel and branding, right? So if you think about an industry party, what can you do that sets you apart? One of the things they did, they had media on the floor. Okay, so the Discovery Channel was on the floor with their Discovery Channel with High Science, their cannabis show, and they were actually shooting interviews there at the show or at the party. And then, there were a lot of A-listers there, brother. It was very interesting. I got a chance to talk to a good share of them. We didn't really do any work on the floor. It was a very boisterous and involved environment, lots of music, lots of gambling.
Ask if you were able to even gauge what the Discovery Channel was asking, if you were even able to hear the conversations or kind of what direction they were going.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. So, I am a old producer, right? And so one of my pals that I used to make movies with is working with them now. Okay. So Elise and I are there, and we're just kind of watching. There's a big old line of people all waiting to maybe be interviewed and all of this. And all of a sudden, one of the producers comes over and he says, "Mr. Chemist, we need you up here on the dais, please." I'm like, "Excuse me?" Yeah, Dan, we need you over here. And I was stunned, brother. I'm like, "What for?" He says, "Oh, we'd like to interview you." And so I went over, and I'm standing up there. And of course, it turns out that my old homie had picked me out of the crowd and said, yeah, get this guy. He'll be a good interview. Had no clue what I was up to, right? I explained to them that we report primarily to 7- and 8-figure movers, and that, we do a daily cast, and they about tipped over, okay? So High Science, if you don't know, High Science is a property that the Discovery Channel is working with. It's basically a show. Okay? They go out and talk science and story with movers and shakers in the cannabis space. And then in this case, I ended up, they had me for 10 minutes, right? Asking about what we're up to and who do we know. And then actually what the best part of that story, and this is just one of several really interesting party stories, is that, after the fact, they pulled me aside, sat me down and said, look, we want to know all the details for two reasons. One, we were curious about your media. That's interesting to us. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And then they're all like, and we want you to help us go get bread, right? And, so that's part of what Josh and I do is essentially we help connect people, right? It doesn't mean you're going to get your bread. You got to be ready, okay? But if you are ready, we know people who essentially are, they're looking for opportunities. And one of the things that was interesting is just first, of course, the whole thing of being old and having one of the homies be a producer on the show, right? Okay. Two, getting a chance to then chop the line, right? So there's a line of probably 18 people just hoping, right? Maybe they'll interview me. Maybe they'll interview me. And to get a chance to just be pulled out and essentially placed in line, or if you will, or put on the show. And then they're sending me their template for how they go about making media and what their production charges are and all of that stuff for working with companies because they want me to go do some selling for them. Well, that's fantastic information. I actually have a meeting at 10 o'clock this morning in 2 hours where that information is quintessential to that next meeting. So that's one chunk of the Wick and Mortar event was woohoo. Yeah. The Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast, I got a chance to be well represented and network with some other media partners. But like I say, that's only part of it. The other interesting thing, for instance, some of the A-listers that were there as in the cannabis space, as the industry hasn't been around all that long. So the people that you would consider movers and shakers, they stand out some, and there was a solid representation of what I would consider the Washington business elite. So the gentleman that is the mastermind behind Uncle Ike's, he was there. Okay, the original crew that launched Canacon, they were there. My neat friends from the Fresh Toast, the guys that run the Fresh Toast, they were there. So that crew.
And he just announced he's working with Forbes directly, so that's a huge accomplishment for a publisher. So congratulations to JJ of Fresh Toast.
Oh yeah, and Northwest Leaf is there. So all these media teams are there, right? And then they're not there as media; they're there partying, right? Like we were. But there were also, again, a significant number of brands and others. In fact, it was pretty neat. I'm sitting with a cart from Spoiled right now. That was part of the goodie bag. I got a chance to talk to the Spoiled people for a while. So Spoiled, it's Spoil 'D. So Spoiled, right? They're they're basically a producer. They make cartridges and things like that. And just the fun of getting a chance to talk with, some new brands that are launching. How did you come to the brand name? What's the target market? What's the demo? Who are you missing? Who are you hitting? All of those questions, right? And then during the course of the evening, so I had Elise with me, right? And my girl is CBD has saved her, okay? So that in itself is kind of interesting. And then two, she's a very sensitive touch. So a little of anything makes it, you can measure very rapidly efficacy. Is the product clean? If a product is at all out of balance, right? If there's something bad in a product, Elise will know. She's like a very sensitive sensor. So anyway, we're there, and one of the other sponsors, the Try One crew, TRIONE, Try One. They had a CBD pain cream, right? And so we just tried that on the floor, and it was interesting to see her reaction to just, as it removed some aches and pains from her hands, right? And so some really neat experiences at the, I guess, because it was an anniversary party, but it was also kind of a networking thing, right? And some amazing connections. Here's the thing. The Talking Hedge and what we do and who we serve is, of course, a whole nother interesting topic in that I have a variety of cards from people who are essentially out there scouring for content who are really intrigued, brother. So kudos to you for launching this and starting this, right? I feel really lucky to have, because part of how I get access is certainly, I've been in the industry for a while. Part of how I get access is also what we're up to, okay? And the access to the Wick and Mortar event last night, the chance to talk to Jared on their 10-year anniversary as they celebrate some things like this, the chance to, again, hang out with Marvin et al., really a, business, but honestly, pleasure. It was biz. We did biz, no doubt. We did biz. We're actually on site from about 9 till about midnight, which if you're me, I run all the time. I'm weary looking today, okay? And at the same time, when we came out of there, Elise was beaming. She was having so much fun. We had such, again, truly a good time. So
he does throw really
there
good
you go.
events.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people coming from all over the country, so it's not just Washington State. Even though online marijuana design was originated in Seattle, his clients fly in. Ed Rosenthal was there last year. New York, Miami. I think people were coming even internationally, Mexico, Spain.
Oh yeah. I have, the list of who all I met would be, and again, they're neat names, but suffice it to say, I talked with people, literally across the U.S., a couple of people from out of the country, a couple of Canadians, definitely. Cool guy from Honduras, right? Some, so some international representation. And then the other thing that I guess was exciting about it was, and again, the buzz around, just what they're doing. Wick and Mortar and what they have experienced in terms, being in the right place at the right time and taking advantage of it with a lot of hard work and a lot of sweat. Again, it's the sort of thing where as a business development executive, it just makes me smile because, again, they do it and they've done it. So can't beat that. One of the things that makes that unit is that man, right? I mean, again, there are some teams where you look at and you go, yeah, you know what? The guy driving doesn't really matter. It's the team. Okay. And he has a hell of a team. But in this case, it's also the guy driving. The guy driving is, he's a force to be reckoned with.
He's got quite the Rolodex already, and now he's moving into professional sports with current athletes, not just retired, as well as individuals, on TV like The Daily Show. And so lots to come out with Jared and Wick and Mortar in the future, no doubt.
Yeah. So, and again, just kudos to you, boss, and the whole, the nature of the Talking Hedge and the team behind it. And that, again, it is through that access. I've got a very busy day ahead of me. And that day, I already had a list of stuff to do. I went to the event last night, and now I got some things that have actually bumped some of the stuff that I had to do because, again, it was just that timely of an event. So.
I love the validation. It's great to hear the good customer validation and then product validation as a podcast. So I know that there was a lot of top talent there, and for them to be excited about it is exciting. And so interesting to hear how those conversations go. Want to make sure you touch base and follow up with us on the Talking Hedge. With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.